Okay, let's take a look at the developing story we told you about from America, where President Joe Biden has stepped down and endorsing his vice president to run in the U.S. presidential election, the November 2024 election. I have with me in the studio Dr. Sam Amadi, a Rise analyst. Very warm welcome to Newsnight. Tell us more. I mean, what's next for the Democrats and their supporters? What does it portend, for the presidential election? Has it given some form of advantage to comebacking President Donald Trump?
Well, I think this puts a lot more complication to the process. Before now, it's clear that they're going to do their convention, and the presumptive nominee, Joe Biden, would have become the nominee for the office. So no complexity. But now, two scenarios possible. Okay, he has endorsed his vice president, Kamala Harris. That does not yet make her the nominee. She has to the convention. They hope the leadership and may have to agree, otherwise they can actually go and do, another, the convention might now allow them to vote another person. So, okay, but it gives Kamala's a head start. I mean, this is, the president ought to be respected. Many of the Democrats who thought that Biden should drop out because of feared, electoral trashing by Trump based on the polls they're getting, they all said, we will not hold the president out. We're going to give him respect. And so having, basically, kick the bucket, metaphorically, to save the party, I think it might be that they might ask his endorsement of Harris to stand. But again, it creates a little bit complexity. The Republicans are also saying that, look, if the president is incapacitated, basically not able to run because they forced him out on health ground and all that, then it raises question on the 25th Amendment, whether the president can actually continue to act. So we're going to see some, even if it is futile or not successful, legal challenge, and maybe at the Congress, some attempt to impeach the president based on that incapacitation clause, in the sense that having dropped out because of presumed ill-health, inability, to continue. So some argue that the rigor of presidential leadership is stronger, more demanding than that of a candidate. So if you can't be a candidate, then how could you be? So we're going to see that argument come up. But more interesting is the various flanks in the Democratic Party are running their posters and strategies, are looking at who can Kamala defeat Donald Trump. Because the real reason why they stepped down the president through coercion, blackmail, is that the data tells them that if Biden was the nominee and contested with Trump, not just they will lose with large margin, the down ballots, the senators, the House of Reps, the positions are open, would be lost. So if that's the case, then they're going to test Kamala Harris with the same yardstick, whether he can beat Trump. If some think that perhaps she's also a little bit complicated candidate, vulnerable in many ways, or strong in many ways, at least the black women vote and the some other women vote will be close tight.
I was just going to come to that. I mean, what kind of,
moderates, those who are or never Trumpers, who are Republicans, will find her a big deal to deal with in terms of, she's the extreme of the Democratic Party. So each option has its problems.
Advantages.
So the party will probably say, okay, if nobody can do far better than Harris, then we'll put together and nudge her forward and probably work hard to beat Trump. So some part of that leadership says, look, Trump is beatable, easy. We've got several vulnerabilities. We're going to focus on this. So now that Biden has stepped down or stepped out, I think they could go ahead with Harris, and that makes it a lot more complicated election. If stepping down would have been an easy...
Complicated or competitive? Very competitive.
Competitive. And then not predictable as it was a few days ago.
Well, the predictability may unfold first if the convention endorses Harris, the Democratic National Convention, and two, depending on who, is going to run as vice president with Harris. They're tipping some governors already. I think the governor California, you know, and
the Minister of the Secretary for Homeland Security.
Homeland Security.
There are many
yes,
smart guys, but the problem is each of these guys come with weakness. The Newman, for example, had very, simmering sex scandal that almost led to his impeachment, and so, and then see the Democratic Party candidates would be somewhat close to the left extreme. Harris, Newman, when I say extreme, progressives in that order. And so the electoral map is like a little bit established. So the question we don't know is, obviously, Harris pulls better than Biden against Trump. But will it be enough to take out those 14 background states?
Will the gender figure come to play this time again in American politics? Are Americans really ready for a female president?
People ask that question. And by the way, there's also some major people are saying, Hillary, don't rule her out. She's still in the game. Some people, even though Hillary has issued a statement kind of endorsing Harris. Okay? But some people, conspiracy theory and other permutations says, this is the woman, Hillary is there. Michelle Obama has also been touted. So the point is that the two ways it works. First, the educated women voters who are of liberal mind would be very committed to Harris. So it's a major, the motivation factor is higher now. Black women particularly are going to be hysterical in supporting her. But the other side
how about the Asian women, the Asian support, don't forget.
Well, the Asian, she ran as a deputy and they actually lost ground with Asian vote. Even when they defeated Donald Trump, they didn't do as much as they did before. Trump is winning a lot of the Asian votes. So you might not, but again, don't forget that the reverse is that some of those who probably say America is not ready for a woman president, and a black woman, quote unquote, woman president, and a woman president, it might evoke the idea of Hillary Clinton, another progressive woman. And so we don't know whether some of the never-Trumpers, especially those who are Republican, Bush, Reagan Republicans who didn't want, could be frightened by the prospect of a black female president and make their way back to Trump.
Female, because now we're not talking of, female. We've had a male president, absolutely. Obama, broke that so record.
The mythology is that black male is disturbing, but black female is probably more disturbing to some of the quote-unquote nationalists, racist, white, supremacists. But again, the key thing about this election is that two elderly persons who are not very popular with everybody, now with a woman who is now going to black woman who also pulls terribly bad in terms of vice president in history.
I wanted to ask you, what are Harris' strengths here?
Okay, the strength at first is female black, which in the democratic configuration is a plus in the DEI framework. Two, she's experienced. She's been attorney, state attorney general, had some successful cases. Some people say imprisoned over 1,000 black people. It doesn't matter what it's experience. She's been a senator who has experience, and she has worked as VP for 4 years. Even though the Republicans would say she was in charge of the borders and didn't do any good job there. So she's vulnerable, but she's strong. You can't say, unlike J.D. Vance, okay, people can say teen on resume, just like Obama was before he became president. 2 years as a senator, more working as a venture capitalist and, a smart guy from here. But so this election obviously is now a little bit, competitive with what has happened. If Biden had stayed in this match, it would have been run over. And interestingly, that's why Trump and the Republicans were alleging that this is a coup against democracy. The guy who had 14 million votes was now forced out. So they would have preferred Biden to be on.
To continue to run.
The election would have been over. But now, a curve in the game, a twist in the tail. So we don't do it now back to strategy.
Yeah, and look at in the closing statement of President Joe Biden. He said, "I want to thank the Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in, all this work." Yeah. And of course, expressing his heartfelt appreciation to the American people.
I think
that strength that Kamala.
She has been loyal, and again with this move, Biden has fortified his legacy with the black, democratic, at least black. Faithful, they rescued his mandate, his candidacy in South Carolina. when he was running, almost trounced until with Claiborne and others, the black Democrats rescued him, and he remained eternally grateful. Consequently, he has also helped a lot. First black female president, first black Supreme Court female
Supreme Court Justice, yeah,
and several other appointments. So at this point, and again, in this attempt to oust him out of the race, the black Democrats stood with him. Especially black women stood with him. And again, people argue, all the people who are prosecuting Trump, majorly black women. I mean, whether it's...
and you're going to have the issue, you're going to have the issue of abortion, play a critical role.
It's a big one, and she has been kind of the star girl, if you like, promoting the fact that Trump is responsible. Now, but the real thing is, look, those who are going to penalize Trump for abortion would have done so anyway, whether she was there or not. I mean, they are going to vote against him, those who take it overridden. But in the ranking of priorities, we see that economy, border, comes far before abortion. So, but in the background states, any vote matters. So we can get back to 2020 when you're looking at the figures and 10,000 votes determined who won a state or not. So if it's that tight, then a Kamala would more inflame and mobilize make abortion much more a no, never for some voters. But again, somebody can argue that it looks like there are even few marginal uncommitted votes we are fighting here. Those who are going to be with Trump no matter who's running. Those who are going to be with the Biden and Democratic Party for issues about abortion
votes
would be. So all the other votes are limited, and that's really why a Harris candidacy may earn more or less, depending on which state you're looking at.
And Democrats are even upbeat that it's going to trigger, the great sponsors of the Democratic
to come back to the
donors
table,
and the rest
to come back. And again, yes, already last night they started about $2 million from the LGBT community in Boston, driven mostly by Hillary Clinton. Again, you're right about they stopped their funding because they thought Biden would fail, and Biden held on and now given up. So we're going to see also issue of youth. So Trump at close to 80. The argument against Biden, even though he doesn't look as frail, could be used against him. So if she's the candidate running against Trump, as she will likely be, she can make the age argument that, look, we had an 80-year-old person, we forced him out because we thought he couldn't manage the next 4 years. So how can a 77 or 78 would do better? So maybe that's why someone like J.D. Vance could be an advantage. Look, Trump have to couple himself with quite very youthful 39-year-old, and then maybe Kamala above 60.
May probably be looking for a 35-year-old too, Democrats that is savvy.
Much more younger ticket in the cumulative. But interesting election coming up in November. So
all right, thanks very much. But don't go away. I think we'll just go on a very short break, come back, and discuss the new NBA leadership back here in Nigeria.